What is up, mini Wargamers? It is Blue Ridge Wargaming here. It has been a while since I have uploaded something with actual Warhammer fantasy content other than Total Warhammer. So I do apologize. Some of you are not really about the Total Warhammer vibe. I get it. Some of you did join this because you're looking for more tabletop content. I do apologize. It's been heckin' busy. Also, my group just kind of has been a little off and on, so I haven't been able to get a game in shoot probably 3 months now, other than just doing something at my house with friends or just by myself. So I do want to start talking to some of you online, though, if you are so inclined to continue the tabletop conversation. So if you do have interest in the tabletop simulation that to play me either Warhammer Fantasy 6th, 7th, 8th edition. I've never played 5th edition or prior. But I am probably the most familiar with 8th edition. That might upset some of you. I did get started in 7th, but I played a few 6th edition games because I had an old codex, but that was all on Tabletop Simulator. Anyway, long intro, but I do want to start sparking some conversation because I am getting a little bit bored playing video games because there is significantly less manual operation that you are responsible for. And as you all know, the whole manual aspect is what we crave as mini war gamers. So I want to put this out to you all. Do you think Stormvermin are a waste of points in either Age of Sigmar or Warhammer Fantasy? So, this is actually... I'm not smelling my finger, I was breathing. um, anyway, so it has been brought to my attention that Stormvermin in Age of Sigmar are the best that they have ever been in any Warhammer game type. Let me delve. So, I am on this Warhammer page, Age of Sigmar Skaven Players, and there is someone on there with the last name Hanley. I don't know if I'm actually able to give his full name, but I am going to give him credit if he winds up seeing this video because you sparked my interest, and I applaud you for believing in the storm and the warp. But basically, I did weigh in on something where people were saying, hey, like, how many Stormvermin do you run? How do you run them? Blah, blah, blah. Personally, I run a lot of Globadiers, and I don't particularly like Storm Fiends as much as, like, maybe everybody else. Like, I would prefer to use other things, but in the current meta, I mean, you just put down 3 or 6 or 9 or like whatever, and then they take care of quite a bit, or they die, but whatever. So somebody was arguing, well, making the point that what Stormvermin? I said, isn't that a waste of points? As in, they've done away with slaves, but why wouldn't you put more into, say, weapons teams? And it depends on if you're going to go all Verminous or not, or the Master Clan, or things like that. So, this particular guy, last name Hanley, he's saying, I'm burping a little bit, sorry, I like to run 2 double reinforced units of Stormvermin, 2 Claw Lords, a Vermin Lord Warbringer, and a Screaming Bell as the core of my army. I've experimented with other things like a Priest on foot, and that works okay, but isn't necessary for the core. The idea is to have 2 big blobs, each with dreaded Death Frenzy, or Death Frenzy, each within the Tyrant's battle aura, so depending on if they're on a mount or not, and 1 with Gnash Gnaw Their Bones. You can use all out an all-out attack on the other if you have the points and need it. This way they attack 3 times, attack when they die, reroll ones to hit and to wound, and possibly deal mortals on 6s if you got a curse off with a priest. This creates 2 very scary wrecking balls that will do way more damage than Storm Fiends for roughly the same points. They are also more durable, can rally better. That's a good point. That is a very good point. We'll come back to that. Rally better, count as more models on objectives, screen better, and are just all around better, except for they can't shoot. So, you can, of course, use this in conjunction with some weapons teams, but there are limitations on that if you are going to be using a specific army. So, if you're able to go with the Master Clan and basically do the Screaming Bell or, Vermin Lord Warbringer, and you're able to bring Stormvermin, essentially in place of your clan rats, that would be a very, very, very good use of points. I would argue at point count over 2,000. So here's something. I tend to play consistently between 1,500 and 2,000. It, for various reasons, mostly it forces you to choose. In our mind, we have this thought process that it'll make the game go a little bit faster. It won't. Whether or not you're playing a 4,000 point game or you're playing a 750 point game, really, unless you streamline your list, it is not going to really impact how long your game is, because you're really only going to be attacking with 1 or 2 per, or everybody dies, and then, your units do everything that they've done and then they die, all for the sake of time. So, there are some other points, but I'll continue on. But Stormvermin, until a certain point count or cost for an actual match, might still, unfortunately, wind up being a waste of points. Now, the whole point of this conversation is, what is your argument for why do you think Stormvermin are a waste of time or a waste of points for anything except for Master Clan or Verminus? And not just the concept of Age of Sigmar, but if you don't think that they are a waste of points, tell me why and tell me what point count you are using them at which they are not a waste of points. Usually, if I can help it, I'll run a unit of 40, and I will have an assassin in there, and I will have a BSB in there. I will have a Screaming Bell running on its own, usually with either 100 slaves or 100 clan rats. Depends on the point count. Sometimes I'll just try to make a Death Star with a bunch of clan rats instead of slaves, which, if we're on the topic of wasting points, I mean, in Age of Sigmar, you don't have slaves. So that's already, we're missing out on a huge portion of what our strengths were in previous iterations of Warhammer. Obviously, Warhammer Fantasy is different than Age of Sigmar, but as far as Skaven goes, Stormvermin are supposed to be the elite. Storm Fiends are supposed to be, obviously, even more elite than that. But I have found that usually when I'm running a 40 block, they're literally just there to take punishment. to take my opponent's eyes off of the other things that I have available that can also do damage. A common theme that I run into with the matches that I consistently win, but then also I wind up having more fun, not because I won though, but because of just how wacky and weird it is. I try to, instead of have a hammer and anvil, I try to have every single unit fielded at about the same effectiveness. About the same effectiveness, whether we're doing wounds shooting, wounds close up, or wounds both, which is semi-limited, and that would basically just be Storm Fiends. But because an issue that I run into all of the time with Skaven is you have your units that you amass and blob and screen with, and then you have your heavy hitters. What a lot of people will do, what a lot of players will do, is they will see which your heavy hitters are, they'll leave the screen because they're not as scared of it, and they will just kill the heavy hitters. So something that I very, very, very much am a fan of, all of this stuff that he's saying about getting 3 extra attacks, everything like that. Imagine getting that on a unit of clan rats, and then still saving those points so that you can wind up fielding weapons teams. It really depends. The only time that I've ever had a run up and smack you in the mouth army with Skaven was when I ran all clan Molder. 0 shooting, go in there and just mess them up. So, to be honest, I have never gone full out Stormvermin. I've always wanted to. Right now, I only have about 60. So if I wanted to go all out, I would say, probably get 80 of them. 80 Stormvermin, and you have a force to reckon with for sure. But until then, I have 200 clan rats that probably would be fielded for the same cost. More attacks, more health. The leadership difference isn't... It's really not that much more. And you get so much more with strength in numbers that, it caps out. You can't get any better than an 11. And, most of the time you're not really going to get an 11. So, for leadership or bravery. So I'm torn. I really want the Stormvermin to be badass. And in certain scenarios, they absolutely are. But as a unit that you would be willing to field consistently for the point cost, strengths and weaknesses, opportunities and threats, that whole thing, are they a waste of points? Let me know what you think, guys, in the comments. This has been Blue Ridge Wargaming. There are times of peace, and there is always war. Peace.